Hey guys, and welcome into another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be hopping into Madden 20 to do a NFL mock draft fully simulated by the Madden simulation. I have the draft fully set up in order. We're going to see how the Madden universe just kind of thinks this would go, see how they assess the team needs. The rosters are updated completely. I just have Matt Nagy up as a coach because they don't own a first round pick. That way we're able to just kind of skip through the draft and see where we go. But if you do like these Madden videos, or if you want me to continue to do other Madden videos, please let me know in the comment section below what you're thinking. I was thinking about doing a fantasy draft kind of playthrough with the team. I was thinking about doing realistic rebuilds as well. So let me know what you want in the comment section below, as well as if you haven't checked out today's video on the 7-round mock draft series, please go check that out. This is just a little bit to kind of give a break in between the redundancy on the channel, just being the 7-round mock drafts right now. So let me know what you think about it. Of course, leave a like in the video, and if you aren't subscribed, there's 95% of my viewers that are not subscribed. Please do hit that subscribe button, as it does help me out a ton. So without further ado, we're going to be here with the Cincinnati Bengals owning the first overall pick, and their first pick is going to be Joe Burrow here in the simulation. So the consensus first overall pick is still going to be Joe Burrow here out of LSU. Kind of makes sense to me. I think that's a good pick for them. They get their new weapon at quarterback. AJ Green's still on the team. Everything should be fine and good here in one of the teams of Ohio. I always make that joke. I still can't believe there's two teams in Ohio. Nothing against Ohio, but that just doesn't seem like a big market to have two teams. But Cincinnati Bengals get their quarterback of the future in Joe Burrow. So then we're going to go on and take the second overall pick, and what a surprise here. This is a guy who I have as a top 3 talent. Don't have him going top 3 in the draft, but Derrick Brown out of Auburn heads over to Washington to help the interior there. When you break it down, the position-wise, it makes a little bit more sense than what the Chase Young pick does. But at the same time, it's still D-line. I wouldn't have them going D-line either if I was just going based off of what they need. But getting Derrick Brown out of Auburn, you put them there with Deron Payne, you still have Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan. That is a very scary defensive line. It's just as scary as Chase Young would be as well. But, this is the first, we've already picked 2. We got the first surprise on there. So Derrick Brown heading to Washington here in the simulation, as we're going to be heading over to pick number 3 here with the Detroit Lions. And they're going to be selecting Chase Young. So Chase Young does fall to them at pick 3, and they were able to scoop him up, add him to the line with Trey Flowers. Just absolutely wreck teams with him and Flowers. I think that would be a very good pick. Chase Young, we thought he would go number 2. He falls to number 3. So now with Derrick Brown off the board, we're going to have to see what, the Panthers and Jaguars, those teams kind of do. Now that a guy that we thought would fall to them in a more realistic draft would go. So I love how when you look at the draft setting, is that it's on the water, as it was thought out to be this year in Vegas, which is kind of cool. But unfortunately, it's not going to be in person. It's going to be all virtual. But we'll see how that is. I can't wait for the draft. But going on to pick number 4 here, Isaiah Simmons is the pick for the Giants. So Madden and me agree that Isaiah Simmons should be going to New York. I think this does fit the Giants a lot. Definitely would help them out in the interior. We haven't had a very good linebacker since about probably Antonio Pierce in the middle. So that's been a long time for a solid linebacker who can actually change the outcome of a game. Isaiah Simmons can definitely do that and add to the defense that was built up a lot in free agency this year. Now at pick 5, do we think the Dolphins go Tua? That is the big question here. And at pick 5, they do. They do go Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama, the lefty, 78 overall. So a very solid pick for them. And he's probably going to be slated to be the starter right away. The Dolphins community is definitely split between wanting Tua and not wanting Tua. On both mock draft videos I've done for the Miami Dolphins, I've seen that a lot in the comment section below. A lot of people are just kind of split on those. If you haven't checked out the video, make sure to go check it out. It was a couple days ago. But definitely Tua Tagovailoa, I agree, should be the pick here at pick 5. Now we go over to pick 6. Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama going to the Chargers. That is a crazy pick. That's pretty cool to see. That means they believe in Tyrod. Tyrod is going to be the quarterback. Maybe they go after a Cam or a Jameis or something. But when you look at what they're doing, they now have Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. That is a very fun receiving core. Plus Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler. That team is going to be airing the ball out like nobody's business, and it's going to be hard to stop any of them. That'd be kind of fun to see. Obviously, I don't think that's too realistic, but the Chargers at 6, passing up on a quarterback, passing up on a tackle, all for Jerry Jeudy. wow, two surprises there, Derek Brown and Jerry Jeudy. And now at pick 7, the Panthers are just so happy that Jeff Okudah is still on the board thanks to that Derek Brown early pick and, of course, the Jerry Jeudy pick. Now they get a guy in Jeff Okudah who is known as probably a top 3 player in this draft as well, top 5 at least. And, I mean, look, 77 overall, very solid pick as well. I think that would help out Dante Jackson in that corner position as well. We did a Panthers video earlier on the 5th, so I'm not sure if this is coming out today or tomorrow when this is going to come out, but go check that out as well. As I did have them getting a corner, just not in the first round, so this fills out a big hole for them. So very good for Matt Rule's new offense or new team. I mean, to get a guy like Jeff Okudah. Mekhi Becton is the first lineman taken off the board for the Cardinals at pick 8, 74 overall. He's probably got a good development trait. Out of Louisville. He's a physical beast. Nothing much to say. I mean, the problem with him is I think playing left tackle, you either have to move Humphries over to right or him over to right. And I don't know if they could either of them can really do that. But you got Becton there. You probably could give him a year to learn behind Gilbert if they really wanted to. But Becton going to the Cardinals at 8, being the first offensive lineman off the board, is something very cool. Pick 9, another offensive lineman off the board. Like I said, we got to see what would happen with Derek Brown now off the board as well. They go Jedrick Wills, the right tackle out of Alabama. Probably, I thought we would have saw him go to the Cardinals pick before, but he ends up going to the Jaguars. Jaguars obviously have another pick later on in the draft, so we'll see what they do there. But Jedrick Wills does help out an offensive line that I think is just kind of lackluster. They might need to move Wills or Taylor to left tackle. And maybe Cam Robinson. I don't know how they would really work with Wills unless they want to move him into guard, possibly. It's definitely a weird fit. I would think that they would go left tackle like Andrew Thomas or even I don't know. I think they could move him around. They could figure it out. But definitely talent-wise, it's a very good pick, 76 overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now at pick 10, the Browns say we do not need an offensive tackle. Jack Conklin will play both of them if we need him to. They take CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. Odell Jarvis, CeeDee Lamb, Hooper, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and Njoku all on the same offense with Baker Mayfield at the helm. You want to talk about the Browns getting Super Bowl hype. If this pick actually happened in real life, the Super Bowl hype train would be through the roof more than it was last year. So absolutely enormous from the Browns to be getting a guy like CeeDee Lamb, 77 overall out of Oklahoma. Not a bad pick in the slightest. Definitely not their biggest need. But I mean, I could see a reason they would go receiver because behind Odell and Jarvis, you really don't have much. But I think tackle is just too big of a need, especially with Andrew Thomas and Worf sitting on the board. That's kind of crazy to have them pass up on him. But we're going to move on to the next pick where the Jets, wow, the Jets are pissed off that the top 2 receivers are there. So they go ahead and take a receiver out of Clemson and T. Higgins all the way up at pick 11. That means Henry Ruggs is still on the board for whoever wants him after this. That's crazy. T. Higgins. I'm wondering what the Jets saw in T. Higgins to think that he is going to be their next guy. 73 overall. So he'll have some decent impact off the gate. But another team where, man, you thought they would go offensive tackle maybe. But no, T. Higgins is going to be the pick here for the New York Jets. At pick 11. And that's it for their first round. So, I mean, they better be happy with how T. Higgins performs because that is a very huge risk reaching for him that high. I have him as a second round grade right now, so wow. I mean, nothing else to say but just wow. Going over to the Raiders get an offensive lineman that they thought they would all be gone by this point. They end up getting Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa, the right tackle. They'll be able to pretty much slide him in on that offensive line. Obviously, you have Colton Miller, who, I mean, he's been all right. He's not what you expected out of it. I think they had a good year last year out of, I'm completely blanking on his name for some reason, but the guy they got out of the Patriots, it'll come to me eventually, but maybe you move Wirfs into guard. I think he could definitely work as a guard at the next level, so you could figure out a place for him. I think that's probably a best available type of pick. Obviously, receivers were gone for them, so that's definitely crazy, but a couple of names off the top of my head that we're thinking of that are still on the board. I mean, you still have Justin Herbert and Jordan Love, the quarterback tandems that are still on the board. Andrew Thomas is going to be on the board still as well. CJ Henderson, the corner out of Florida, is also on the board. So definitely some big names still there at pick 13. Now with a bunch of receivers gone, do they go after a Henry Ruggs here, the 49ers do? Let's see what they can do. At pick 13, CJ Henderson does go off the board here as they get another corner to add to that secondary. Richard Sherman's getting up there in age. They could always use depth in the secondary. And with another first-round pick in the late first round, they'll be looking to add more weapons to that team. CJ Henderson, though, I think that's a very solid pick. That's probably around where I would want him to go in the real draft as well. Pick 14, Brady's Buccaneers. There's a couple of things that they could fix up, but how bad do they want a ring this year? We're about to find out, as they end up getting Henry Ruggs the third, 4.2 speed out of Alabama to add to Godwin and Evans. They lost Brashad Perriman, who was really their speed guy. They get a guy like Henry Ruggs with his athleticism to help Brady out. So now you have an offense with Brady, Evans, Ruggs, Godwin, and Howard. I mean, hopefully they address the running back position later on in the draft, because I don't know if Ronald Jones is really what you want at the running back position, but wow, what a pick. With Andrew Thomas still on the board, I think left tackle could have been a great pick for them. But, I mean, Henry Ruggs, they're going for it all. They want weapons for Brady, and there's no shortage of weapons for him. Whoa, another guy coming in hot. The Broncos get Laviska Shenault out of Colorado. This is a guy who I think is a top 20 talent, but with his injuries, it drops him down to about an early second round, mid-second round grade for me. And I love Laviska Shenault as a player. But what a year for wide receivers, as we've already seen, was it 6 go off the board or 5? 5 of them go off the board already, with Shenault jumping up. I mean, not as big of a jump as T. Higgins. I mean, you could see him as a first-round talent, but just the injuries. I mean, I guess this is the Madden world, so maybe injuries are just not a factor. The Broncos do get a weapon in Shenault. I just don't know how healthy he's going to be, and that is a big risk to have. Guys, Andrew Thomas and Herbert are still on the board at pick 16. What are they going to do here? I think the Falcons might take Andrew Thomas here because, I mean, offensive line, they've been picking players and they just haven't panned out. No, they end up going Kayvon Chase on the edge rusher out of LSU, 77 overall. That's a very good pick for them. Probably realistic, too. I think Kayvon Chase is definitely a guy that we think might end up going to Atlanta. They are in need of an edge rusher, especially with Devontae Campbell signing with the Cardinals. They need some help on that edge. Kayvon Chase can definitely do that for them. So let's just go look at the draft board real quick and just see who is still on the board. Herbert, Ayuk is up here pretty high as well. So the draft class, I guess, that I have has receivers pretty high. So we have Ayuk, Jefferson, Rager, Hamler, Mims still on the board. Who I hope there's not that many receivers left, but Ayuk is pretty high. That's kind of weird. Herbert, Ayuk, Swift, Taylor, McKinney. These are some guys that we're thinking, wow, Thomas is actually pretty low down there on these rankings. I just downloaded a draft class that I saw on the top. Didn't really look into it much. Kinlaw, Fulton. So definitely a lot of talent still here to go in this first round. And we'll see how it all goes here. With the Cowboys at pick 17, could we see a Justin Herbert going to Dallas? No, we see Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State ending up with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. I think Ayuk is actually a very solid fit for them. I just would rather than probably trade down. I think Ayuk is probably a early second, late first kind of grade, especially with how his physicals have been. Especially, I think Combine was kind of weird. He had some flashes. He's had some bad spots. I don't know. But Ayuk at 17 is definitely, the receivers are flying off the board here. And off the top of that, Justin Jefferson and Denzel Mims are still on the board as well. Same with KJ Hamler. So Ayuk going all the way up to Dallas at 17 to fit in with Dak Prescott's offense. They are committed to him. Herbert is still on the board. Now at pick 18, Andrew Thomas falls all the way to the Dolphins at pick 18. The Dolphins get arguably the best quarterback in the draft and arguably the best tackle in the class with Andrew Thomas and Tua Tagovailoa. What a tandem. Now, the good thing about Andrew Thomas, too, is that now that he's drafted with Tua, you can keep him at right tackle where he played some time at Georgia, and you can have him completely protect the blind side of Tua Tagovailoa. And that is something that's going to be very good for the Dolphins. Andrew Thomas, this draft is actually, this is very exciting. I love the draft, but this is something that's just absolutely insane. You go on to pick number 19 for the Las Vegas Raiders. they already got, who did they select already? Let's see, who did they select already? I'm forgetting already. They have drafted, oh, I can't go look, huh? Okay, well, for the Las Vegas Raiders, we are going to see who they pick now, and that is Christian Fulton. Oh, they got Wirfs, I think. So Wirfs and Fulton is actually not a bad tandem for them. I figure they can figure out where to put him on the line, and Christian Fulton can definitely help, especially with Garyon Conley being let go last season, which was kind of questionable, but definitely any help in the secondary can help out the Raiders. They have their 2 first-round rookies, not who we expected them to go. I'm still surprised they maybe didn't go Herbert here at pick 19, with him still being on the board, but I guess Gruden really believes in Carr. I guess we have to look forward to what they can do in Las Vegas. So Fulton and Wirfs are the new weapons for the Raiders moving into their new home. That's what they're going to be advertising. Let's see what the Jags do with their second pick. Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. I think Jags can definitely use a safety. I like Ronnie Harrison, but they definitely could use some help on safety. Xavier McKinney can definitely hop in there and just cause havoc. I think he can play both safety spots, to be honest. He's got good traits. I think that's a solid pick for them. 75 overall, so they're definitely happy. The Eagles should probably be happy too, because you have a couple receivers still on the board with Hamler, Jefferson, and Mims. All those receivers that have already gone off the board, you still have a couple options here. So what are the Eagles going to do? They take Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. Okay, so they're filling the Jordan Hicks hole from last year and filling him in with Kenneth Murray, a sideline-to-sideline speed kind of linebacker. Definitely not a pick I thought they would make, but it makes a little bit of sense. I like the pick. So Kenneth Murray going to the Eagles at 73 overall, pick 21. Now the Vikings have 2 picks here, and I think actually I'm pretty sure the Vikings are supposed to be switched with the Saints for their next pick. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but we'll see what it is. Justin Jefferson ends up going to replace Stephon Diggs, so it's now Jefferson and Thielen in that offense with Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. I think that's a good pick for them. I don't think Justin Jefferson might fall that far down, but it's definitely something that they could do. They were just lucky that other teams that took receivers took other ones. Guys, at pick 23, Justin Herbert is still on the board. Do we see him go off to the Patriots? We do. 77 overall. The replacement for Brady is standing tall in New England at 6'5" out of Oregon. Justin Herbert, he's won a lot of hearts at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine. People are starting to get really high on him. Top 5 talent, top 10 talent. But today, we see him go at pick 23. Now at pick 24, the New Orleans Saints, they take a corner in Jeff Gladney out of TCU. I think that maybe Trevon Diggs should be above him. I think Gladney's probably an option here. This is about where I have him. I think I even might have him going to the Vikings in my latest mock. But I think this is a good spot for him. Kenneth Murray already off the board. I would think maybe a Patrick Queen maybe. You look at some of the other options that are still out there. But Jeff Gladney is definitely, corner is definitely their biggest need. If that's who the biggest prospect is on their board, that's their best prospect. You got to take him. Jeff Gladney out of TCU is the pick. Now the Vikings get another pick. They already got Justin Jefferson, and they add Javon Kinlaw to replace Linval Joseph. 2 very solid picks for the Vikings there. If you are able to walk away with Kinlaw and Jefferson, as a Vikings fan, I am excited. Obviously, it still hurts that you lose Diggs and that you lose Linval and Everson Griffin was cut. There's a lot of changes to that team, but Kinlaw and Jefferson is definitely something very fun to look out for. Now we go over to the Dolphins' 3rd and final pick. They have Tua. They have Andrew Thomas. Who are they going to select with pick 26? Ross Blacklock out of TCU. Help out that defensive line with Christian Wilkins being the young tandem in the interior there. I think those two can definitely wreak havoc for years and years to come. You got Van Noy there as well. Bunch of guys that they signed in free agency. This is a solid first round for them. I think the Andrew Thomas and the Tua pick kind of let them maybe reach for a guy in Blacklock that they might believe in. So getting Blacklock along with Tua and Andrew Thomas, I think that's still an overall success for the Miami Dolphins. At pick 27, the Seahawks are selecting A.J. Epinesa out of Iowa. This is a very solid pick. I think that if Epinesa is still on the board at this pick in real life, I think this is definitely a realistic option, especially if Clowney isn't re-signed. I think he's a very solid edge rusher. Probably more of the defensive end than edge rusher than the outside linebacker edge rusher. He has a lot of power. He has a lot of size. He has a lot of strength. Definitely like him. He's a 75 overall for the Seahawks. Now at pick 28, the Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot of options here. I mean, you think about, you still have Hamler on the board, Mims on the board, and they take Patrick Queen out of LSU. This is a very good pick for them. Linebackers are definitely a hole for them. It seems like they just keep losing and losing linebackers and edge rushers, and it's a lot because of, you look at the team they have. They got a lot of people to pay. They have Lamar Jackson's contract they have to look forward to in a few years, possibly even paying him early like the Chiefs have been discussing about Patrick Mahomes. But getting a guy like Patrick Queen out of LSU is definitely going to help them out a lot. Hopefully reach that hump that they missed out on in the playoffs this year. Now, the team they lost to in the playoffs is the Tennessee Titans, and the Tennessee Titans are selecting Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue to replace Delanie Walker. I believe in Jonnu Smith a little bit more than the Madden sim does. So Bryson Hopkins, I mean, I have him going in the 3rd round, I think. I think that today he was a 3rd round pick for me in the Panthers mock draft, I believe. I'm pretty sure. So Bryson Hopkins jumping from the 3rd round to the 1st round in the Madden sim, going to the Titans. I mean, that's a good fit for him. A lot of people have Cole Kmet being the top tight end. I think there's definitely a lot of discussions about who's the best tight end in the draft, but I don't think there's any 1st round grades as a tight end. So a little bit of a reach, but hey, the Titans saw something in Hopkins that I guess no one else did to take him in the 1st round. Absolutely filling a need, but I'm not sure about the pick. Now we look at the Green Bay Packers at pick 30. They take Marlon Davidson out of Auburn, 69 overall, but I think he'll be able to develop into something good. The weird thing about this is they did take what's his name from last year? Oh my God, Rashawn Gary last year as a top 10 pick. So now you look at what they've done last year, even with Gary not really doing much. I mean, you add Davidson, does that mean that you're giving up on Gary? I mean, you have the Smith twins. There's a lot of things you do. So Marlon Davidson, he adds to the line, yes, but I think that's kind of giving up on Gary a little too soon. I would rather see them go maybe a Denzel Mims or KJ Hamler here, maybe even a Jalen Reagor. Fill a tight end need as well. Cole Kmet's still on the board. Offensive line, Josh Jones is still on the board. Cesar Ruiz. So they definitely could have gone to a lot of different places. But Marlon Davidson is who they think is the best at 69 overall. Now, the second to last pick of the draft, Cesar Ruiz ends up going to the 49ers. So a very solid draft here for the 49ers as they walk away with Cesar Ruiz at 31. They have him listed as a left guard. I think he can play wherever he wants on the interior offensive line, wherever they need him to be. Injuries hurt the offensive line a little bit last season, so Ruiz can definitely go in there and rotate around. I think that's a very pick. And with the last pick of the Madden Sim mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, select Lloyd Cushenberry the third out of LSU. Wow. What an absolute stunner at 32 to end the 1st round. Ruiz went off the board. It's not Biadasz, but Cushenberry jumping up a couple rounds in my opinion. I think he's a 3rd round pick to the Chiefs. They need some interior help, and that's where they're going to get. So we're going to look at the draft board. Some guys who fell out of the 1st round. We had no running backs taken, so Swift and Taylor are in the 2nd round. This is kind of what I expected as well. I don't really see any running backs going in the 1st round, so Swift and Taylor falling in the 2nd. Not too surprising. You got Reagor, Hamler. I kind of see them as 2nd round prospects too, so that's not too surprising. These two right here, Grant Delpit, Jordan Love, and even Denzel Mims, guys I think should be probably 1st rounders. I'd see somebody trade in, most likely to get them, but Love ends up falling to the 2nd round, so maybe the Colts, who are on the next pick, could end up being the Jordan Love. I mean, they're not the next pick in real life, but in this mock draft they would be. I didn't bother doing all the 2nd round picks, but Delpit, Love, Mims are still on the board. Terrell and Diggs, Igbenogany. These are guys I think could definitely be 1st round corners as well. Not too many corners taken in this draft. You look at Gross Matos as well as maybe even Weaver and Bond, Aquara. Those are some edge rushers who I think could definitely go off the board as well. But that is it for the 32 team mock draft for the, I guess not 32 team, but just a 2020 1st round mock draft for the Madden Sim. The Madden Sim is definitely kind of crazy with some stuff. We saw some jumps. Derek Brown at 2, Laviska Shenault as a top 15 pick, T. Higgins going over Henry Ruggs. So definitely a crazy draft. If you did like this content, of course leave a like on the video, as it does help me out a bunch. If you want to see more Madden content below, let me know in the comment section below what you want to see. Of course, subscribe if you are new. And if you are part of that 95% that are watching these videos without subscribing, of course hit the subscribe button. We got big plans for this channel, all NFL content coming to you. And like I said, if you did like the video, leave a like. If you didn't, just refresh the page, try it again, and let me know how you did the second time. This is Jayden. I'll see you guys in the next video.